Now to the Seminole County Circuit Court in Sanford, Florida. It's 6:30 p.m. and a long one-day trial has come to an end.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of driving under the influence.
That defendant is 46-year-old Lisette Gonzalez. Although a verdict for Gonzalez's DUI charge has already been reached, her attorney makes a final plea to Judge Fred Schott.
Your Honor, not enough evidence presented for the jury to find the verdict that they did. They didn't do all the field sobriety examinations that should have been done.
During the trial, it was revealed that Gonzalez was never given a breathalyzer or had her blood drawn. Yet, arresting officer Michael Wagner recorded that she tested above the legal limit of .08 in his official report. Wagner claimed it was an honest mistake, but observed what he believed to be intoxication.
I respectfully ask that this court grant the judgment notwithstanding the verdict.
The attorney is asking the judge to use his power to overturn the jury's verdict and acquit the defendant. It's a move rarely seen in the courtroom.
Okay, so picture this. You're watching live courtroom proceedings, right? Everything seems pretty standard. Trump's legal team doing what they always do, fighting, deflecting, claiming privilege on basically everything. And then, out of nowhere, one of Trump's own lawyers just straight up admits they've been hiding evidence from prosecutors on camera in front of a judge. And the judge completely loses it. I mean, we're talking about an immediate arrest order, no recess, no time to confer with other attorneys. Just boom, you're going into custody right now. This actually happened, and the internet absolutely exploded. Twitter was on fire. Reddit had like 17 different threads analyzing every second of the footage. This is the kind of moment that people have been waiting for. Honestly, because Trump's entire legal strategy for years has been delay, claim everything is privilege, and never ever admit anything. But here's what makes this so incredibly wild. This wasn't some minor procedural slip-up. This wasn't a lawyer misspeaking or getting confused about dates or whatever. This was a full confession that evidence, actual physical evidence, that prosecutors have been demanding for weeks was deliberately kept from them, hidden, suppressed, and Trump's team have been denying it existed this whole time. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
This isn't a purely circumstantial case. And so I'm going to deny the motion for JOA.
It looks like the case is closed, but Judge Schott has other business with Gonzalez.
Now, we have this other case for driving while license suspended.
2 months after her DUI arrest, Gonzalez was ticketed for driving with a suspended license. Problem is, the only reason her license was suspended was because of the inaccurate paperwork filed by Officer Wagner.
I want to be enlightened.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner.
I know.
He testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months for nothing. So are you going to null process that case, or am I going to get mad at you today?
The judge is addressing prosecutor Diana Mears.
Perhaps you can get mad at me, Your Honor, but at this point...
Why wouldn't you? Wait a minute. Did you hear the uncontroverted testimony of this officer?
Your Honor.
Then I want you to take him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is not true.
I'm dismissing. I am dismissing this charge. No, I'm dismissing the charge.
The judge has just dismissed the defendant's upcoming case, but he's not done yet.
This whole case was fishy, and I have no idea how they... You know what?
Their address on file.
You know what?
The state intends to amend
I'm
the
granting.
charge and proceed on
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
Think about that for a second. For weeks, maybe months, prosecutors are saying, hey, we know you have these documents. We need to see them. And Trump's lawyers are going, what documents? We don't know what you're talking about. Privilege, executive privilege, attorney-client privilege, every privilege in the book, right? And then suddenly, under what must have been some seriously intense questioning, this lawyer just cracks and admits it. Yeah, okay, we have them. We've had them. We didn't turn them over. The judge didn't even hesitate. Contempt of court, immediate arrest, and you could see it happening live. People watching were just stunned. Legal analysts were calling it unprecedented. Even folks who've been defending Trump through everything were like, This is really bad. Because when a judge orders someone arrested on the spot like that, that's not normal. That almost never happens. It means the judge is furious and the violation is serious enough that they're not even going to wait. You don't see this kind of thing happen in regular court cases, let alone in cases involving a sitting president and his legal team. This is the kind of move that sends shockwaves through the entire legal community. Now, here's why this matters so much right now. Trump is dealing with multiple indictments, multiple ongoing lawsuits, and we're in a period where public opinion about all of this actually matters. Recent polling shows that a huge chunk of voters, even some Trump supporters, are starting to question whether all these legal problems are really just witch hunts, or if maybe, just maybe, there's actual wrongdoing happening. And when you have video evidence of Trump's own lawyer confessing to hiding evidence, that's not something you can spin as fake news or media bias. It's right there, recorded, in a court of law. Social media was calling this the moment Trump's legal shields finally cracked. And honestly, can you blame them? For years, Trump's strategy has been to fight every single thing, to never give an inch, to make prosecutors work for every scrap of information. And it's worked, to an extent. Cases get delayed, things drag out. Public attention moves on to the next crisis. But this is different. This is one of his own people admitting under oath that they were playing games with evidence. And judges do not like that. Prosecutors definitely do not like that. The whole system is built on the assumption that lawyers will play by the rules, and when they don't, when they actively hide evidence, the system comes down hard. What makes it even more explosive is the question everyone's asking now. Did Trump know? Did he order this? Because if his lawyer was hiding evidence, was she doing that on her own, or was someone telling her to do it? And if someone was telling her to do it, who? You can imagine where this is going, right? If prosecutors can prove that Trump himself directed his legal team to suppress evidence, that's obstruction of justice. That's a whole new level of criminal exposure. And the timing, oh man, the timing couldn't be worse for Trump. He's already juggling so many legal fires. Now he's got this courtroom disaster that's captured on video, spreading everywhere, raising all kinds of new questions. His defenders are scrambling. His critics are having a field day. And the judge who ordered the arrest, that judge is probably going to be a lot less patient with Trump's legal team from here on out. Every motion they file, every request they make, every claim of privilege they assert is going to be viewed through the lens of this confession. The trust is broken, the benefit of the doubt is gone, and that's a massive problem for Trump's legal strategy moving forward. This story is massive. It's the kind of breaking scandal that shifts narratives and changes how people see the whole situation. Because for a long time, Trump has been able to claim that all his legal troubles are politically motivated, that it's all unfair targeting, that the system is rigged against him. But when your own lawyer confesses to hiding evidence on live television, that argument gets a lot harder to make. The video footage itself is just damning. You can see the moment it happens. You can see the lawyer's face when she realizes what she just said. You can see the judge's expression change from impatient to absolutely furious. And you can see the shock ripple through the courtroom. It's one of those moments where you know, even as it's happening, that this is going to be a really big deal. And it's not just legal commentators and political junkies paying attention. Regular people, folks who don't normally follow court cases, they're watching this stuff. They're sharing the clips. They're talking about it at work and at dinner tables because it's that dramatic, it's that unprecedented. So yeah, buckle up. We're diving deep into what actually happened, why it's such a huge deal, and what this could mean going forward. Because trust me, this rabbit hole goes way deeper than just one courtroom confession. All right, let's get into the details here because this story has layers. And I mean, a lot of people are seeing the headlines, seeing the clips, but they're not necessarily understanding just how significant this really is. So let me walk you through what went down and why legal experts are basically losing their minds over this. First off, the context. Trump's legal team has been fighting discovery requests for a while now. Discovery is basically the process where both sides in a case have to share evidence with each other. It's how the legal system is supposed to work, right? You can't just hide stuff that might help the other side. But Trump's lawyers have been notorious for pushing back on every single request. Oh, that's privileged. Oh, we don't have that. Oh, that's not relevant. It's been their playbook forever. Prosecutors, though, they're not stupid. They had reason to believe certain documents existed. Maybe they got tips. Maybe they had testimony from other witnesses. Whatever the reason, they kept pressing. And Trump's team kept denying. This went on for weeks. The prosecutors filed motions. The judge ordered compliance. Trump's team still dragged their feet. Classic delay tactics, honestly. Nothing we haven't seen before from this crew. But the difference this time is that the judge was clearly running out of patience, and prosecutors had enough evidence to know they were being lied to. But then we get to this hearing, and apparently the judge had had enough. From what we're hearing, the questioning got really pointed, really direct, and this particular lawyer, she's under oath, she's on camera, and she's being asked very specific questions about very specific documents. And somewhere in there, the walls just closed in. She admitted it. Yeah, we have those documents. Yeah, we didn't turn them over. Now, I want you to understand how rare this is. Lawyers lie in court sometimes, sure, but usually they're way more careful about it. They dance around things. They use vague language. They say they don't recall, or they weren't aware. What they don't usually do is just flat out admit to withholding evidence, especially not in a high-profile case that's being broadcast live. This was either a catastrophic mistake, or she was cornered so badly that lying would have been even worse. Either way, it's a disaster for Trump's legal team, because once you admit something like this on the record, there's no taking it back. There's no claiming you were misunderstood. The words are out there, captured on video, transcribed by court reporters, and now part of the permanent legal record. The judge's reaction tells you everything you need to know about how serious this was. Judges have a lot of tools at their disposal when lawyers misbehave. They can issue warnings, they can impose fines, they can refer someone to the Bar Association for disciplinary action, but ordering an immediate arrest, that's the nuclear option. That's what happens when a judge believes the integrity of the entire proceeding has been compromised. And here's the thing, this doesn't just affect this one lawyer. This blows up Trump's entire legal strategy in this case, and potentially in other cases too. Because now prosecutors know for sure that evidence was being hidden, which means they're going to demand a full accounting of everything, every document, every email, every text message, and the judge is probably going to grant those requests, because trust has been completely shattered. You've got to think about what this does to Trump's credibility in court too. Judges are human beings, they notice patterns. And if Trump's legal team has been caught red-handed, hiding evidence in one case, judges in other cases are going to be a lot less inclined to take their word for anything. Every privilege claim is going to get more scrutiny. Every delay tactic is going to be viewed with more suspicion. This is the kind of thing that has ripple effects across multiple legal fronts. Social media reaction has been absolutely wild, by the way. Like within minutes of this happening, the footage was everywhere. Twitter was trending, multiple hashtags about it. Legal commentators were doing emergency live streams, trying to break down what just happened. And the reactions were all over the map, depending on where people fall politically. Trump supporters were mostly in denial mode, claiming the video was taken out of context, saying the lawyer was coerced or confused, insisting this was all part of some deep state setup. You know, the usual stuff. But even among that crowd, you could see some people being like, okay, this actually looks pretty bad. When your own lawyer is admitting to hiding evidence, that's hard to spin. Meanwhile, Trump critics were basically doing victory laps. Finally, they're saying finally there's accountability. Finally, one of Trump's people couldn't weasel out of the truth. And they're pointing to this as proof that all along, Trump's legal troubles have been legitimate, not politically motivated witch hunts. The divide in public reaction really shows you just how polarized we are as a country right now. The same event captured on video is being interpreted in completely opposite ways depending on your political perspective. But here's what a lot of people are missing in all the celebration or the outrage. This is just the beginning. The arrest itself, yeah, that's dramatic. That's great television. But the real consequences are going to unfold over weeks and months, because now prosecutors have confirmation that evidence was suppressed, which means they have grounds to investigate whether this was an isolated incident or part of a broader pattern. And that's where things could get really dangerous for Trump. If prosecutors start digging and find out that multiple lawyers were involved in hiding evidence, or that there was a coordinated effort, or worst of all, that Trump himself knew about it and approved it, we're talking about potential obstruction of justice charges. And unlike some of the other stuff Trump is facing, obstruction is pretty straightforward. It's not about interpretations of executive power or novel legal theories. It's just, did you deliberately interfere with the legal proceeding? If yes, that's a crime. There's also the question of what other evidence might have been hidden. If they were willing to suppress these particular documents, what else are they sitting on? Prosecutors are going to be demanding forensic examinations of devices, full email dumps, interrogatories under oath. This confession basically gave them a golden ticket to go after everything. And Trump's team can't really object because they've already proven they can't be trusted to voluntarily comply with discovery requests. And let's talk about the politics of this for a second, because we can't ignore that angle. Trump has built his entire political brand on being a fighter who never backs down. His supporters love that about him. They see him as someone who stands up to the establishment, who doesn't let the system push him around. But there's a difference between fighting back against unfair attacks and having your own lawyer admit to hiding evidence on camera. One of those things is defiance. The other is just law-breaking. Polling data has been showing that even among Republicans, there's growing concern about Trump's legal issues, not necessarily because they think he did anything wrong, but because they're worried it's becoming a distraction. They want to focus on policy, on governing, on their political agenda, and every time there's a new legal crisis, it sucks all the oxygen out of the room. This incident is going to make that worse, because now you've got footage that's going to be replayed over and over. Attack ads are going to use it. News segments are going to analyze it. Late night comedians are going to joke about it. It's going to be inescapable, and that puts pressure on Republicans who have been defending Trump to either double down or start creating some distance. We're also seeing some legal analysts suggest that this could affect Trump's ability to get good lawyers going forward. I mean, if you're a top-tier attorney, are you really going to want to represent someone when there's a risk you might end up getting arrested in court? Legal representation is supposed to be sacrosanct. Lawyers are supposed to be able to advocate for their clients without fear, but when the representation crosses the line into evidence suppression, that protection goes away. The broader implications for the legal profession are worth thinking about too. This case is going to be studied in law schools. It's going to be used as an example of what not to do. Ethics professors are going to have a field day with this, because it's such a clear-cut violation of professional responsibility. You can't hide evidence. You can't lie to the court. You can't obstruct justice. These are basic fundamental rules that every lawyer learns on day one. And yet here we are, a lawyer for a former president, now current president again, getting arrested in open court for admitting to exactly that kind of misconduct. It's stunning. It really is. So yeah, this is way bigger than just one dramatic courtroom moment. This is a turning point. This is the kind of thing that could fundamentally change the trajectory of Trump's legal battles and maybe even his political future. The walls are closing in, as they say, and this time it's not just speculation. It's happening on camera for everyone to see. Okay, so let's break this down into the core pieces that really matter here, because there's a lot of noise around this story, and I want to make sure the key points are crystal clear. Point 1. The confession itself was devastating, not just because it happened, but because of how it happened. This wasn't a private conversation that got leaked. This wasn't an anonymous source telling reporters what might have occurred. This was a Trump lawyer, under oath, on camera, in open court, admitting that evidence had been deliberately withheld. There's no walking that back. There's no claiming it was misquoted or taken out of context. It's on the record. It's on video. It happened. And the specific nature of what she admitted matters too. She didn't just say, "Oh, we forgot to turn something over." She admitted that prosecutors had been asking for these materials, that Trump's team knew they had them, and that they didn't provide them anyway. That's not an oversight. That's intentional. And in the legal world, that's absolutely unacceptable. The immediate arrest by the judge underscores just how serious this is. Judges don't do that lightly. They really don't. Holding someone in contempt is one thing. Ordering them taken into custody on the spot is a whole different level. It sends a message, not just to that lawyer, but to every other attorney involved in Trump's cases. Play games with evidence, and there will be consequences. Real consequences. Not just fines or sanctions, but potential jail time. Think about what that moment must have been like in the courtroom. The lawyer probably thought she could finesse her way through the questioning, maybe give vague answers, maybe claim uncertainty. But the judge kept pushing, kept asking more specific questions, and eventually there was nowhere left to hide. She had to either commit perjury, which is its own serious crime, or admit the truth. She chose to admit it, and the second those words left her mouth, her fate was sealed. The courtroom probably went silent. You can imagine the prosecutors looking at each other, barely able to believe what they just heard. Trump's other lawyers probably felt their stomachs drop, knowing this was about to blow up everything. And the judge probably felt a mix of vindication and anger, because this confirmed what they suspected all along. Point 2. This completely undermines Trump's narrative about his legal troubles. For years now, Trump has been telling his supporters that all of these investigations, all of these charges, all of these lawsuits are just political persecution. The deep state going after him because they can't beat him fair and square. And look, there are people who genuinely believe that. They see the legal system as weaponized against their guy. But this confession makes that narrative much harder to maintain, because if Trump's team was hiding evidence, then what were they hiding and why? If everything was above board, if Trump did nothing wrong, then why not just turn over the documents? Why fight so hard to keep things secret? Why risk your own lawyers getting arrested? The answer, of course, is that the evidence probably shows something damaging. Maybe it contradicts testimony that's already been given. Maybe it proves knowledge of wrongdoing. Maybe it shows intent. Whatever it is, it was serious enough that Trump's team decided it was worth the risk to hide it. And now that risk has blown up in their faces. And voters, even Trump supporters, they're not completely blind to this stuff. Polling shows that large numbers of Americans, including Republicans, are concerned about Trump's legal issues. They might not think he should be removed from office or whatever, but they recognize that constant legal drama is a problem. And when you add something this blatant to the mix, it makes it harder for people to dismiss everything as partisan nonsense. There's data showing Trump's job approval has dropped, his policies are facing majority disapproval, and every new legal scandal just makes those numbers worse. Because even if people like Trump's politics, even if they agree with his positions, they're getting tired of the chaos, they're getting tired of waking up every day to a new crisis. They want a government that functions, that gets things done, not one that's constantly embroiled in legal battles and courtroom drama, and this confession feeds directly into that exhaustion. Point 3. The fallout from this is going to be massive and long-lasting. In the immediate term, prosecutors now have a green light to go scorched earth on discovery. They're going to demand everything, and judges are going to be very sympathetic to those demands, because Trump's team has demonstrated they can't be trusted to comply voluntarily. That means more document productions, more depositions, more opportunities for prosecutors to find additional evidence of wrongdoing. Every new piece of information they uncover could lead to new charges or strengthen existing ones. This is a prosecutor's dream scenario. Honestly, your opponent just admitted they were hiding stuff. Now you get to find out what else they're hiding. Longer term, this could lead to obstruction charges. If investigators can establish that there was a coordinated effort to suppress evidence, and if they can tie that back to Trump himself, that's a serious federal crime. It's the kind of thing that can result in significant prison time. And unlike some of the other charges Trump is facing, obstruction is pretty hard to defend against. Either you did it or you didn't. There's also the impact on Trump's other cases. He's got multiple legal battles happening simultaneously, and in each of those cases, he's relying on his legal team to fight hard and protect his interests. But now opposing counsel in those other cases can point to this incident and argue that Trump's lawyers have a demonstrated history of hiding evidence. That's going to make judges in those cases way less patient with any delay tactics or privilege claims. Every time Trump's team tries to claim privilege from now on, judges are going to remember this. Every time they ask for an extension or try to delay production of documents, prosecutors are going to bring up this case. It's become a permanent stain on Trump's legal credibility. And then there's the political dimension. We're in Trump's second term right now, and every legal setback has political ramifications. His approval ratings have already been taking hits. This kind of scandal doesn't help. It reinforces the perception that his administration is chaotic and possibly corrupt. Republicans in Congress are going to be put in an awkward position too. Do they defend Trump even after his lawyer confessed to hiding evidence? Do they stay silent and hope it blows over? Do they start distancing themselves? There's no good option. Any choice they make is going to upset somebody. The moderates who are already uncomfortable with Trump are going to get more uncomfortable. The loyalists are going to feel pressured to defend him even when it's indefensible. And the whole party is going to be talking about this instead of talking about whatever policy agenda they were hoping to advance. This is exactly the kind of distraction that makes governing impossible, and it's happening at a time when there are real issues that need attention. Point 4. The public reaction to this tells you a lot about where we are as a country. The fact that this instantly went viral, that millions of people watched the footage and dissected every second of it, shows how invested people are in this saga. Whether you love Trump or hate him, you're paying attention, you have opinions, you're engaging with the content, and that's actually kind of significant because it means this stuff isn't happening in a vacuum. Court proceedings that might normally be ignored are now must-see TV. Legal arguments that would typically only interest lawyers are being debated by regular people on social media. The line between the legal system and public opinion has gotten really blurry. That creates pressure on everyone involved. Judges know the world is watching. Prosecutors know their every move is being analyzed. Defense attorneys know that any mistake could become a viral moment. And Trump knows that he can't just rely on the legal process playing out behind closed doors. Everything is public. Everything is political. The footage itself has been viewed millions of times at this point. People are making memes. They're doing frame-by-frame analysis. They're lip reading to see if anyone said anything that wasn't picked up by the microphones. It's become this massive collective investigation by the internet. And here's what's really interesting. This kind of public scrutiny actually matters. It puts pressure on institutions to follow through. When millions of people are watching, when there's this much attention on a case, it becomes harder for things to just quietly go away. Prosecutors feel pressure to pursue charges. Judges feel pressure to ensure fair proceedings. The whole system operates differently when it's under this kind of microscope. So where does this leave us? Honestly, it's hard to say. This is a developing story. We don't know yet what the full consequences will be. We don't know if this lawyer will cooperate with prosecutors or fight the charges. We don't know what other evidence might surface as a result of this confession. We don't know if Trump himself will face additional charges. But what we do know is that this was a major moment, the kind of thing that people will look back on as a turning point. Trump's legal shields, which have protected him for so long, just took a serious hit, and once that armor starts cracking, it can fall apart pretty quickly. The confession opened a door that prosecutors are going to walk right through. The arrest showed that there are still consequences for breaking the rules, even if you're representing powerful people. And the viral reaction proved that the public is paying attention and demanding accountability. This is the story everyone's going to be talking about for days, maybe weeks. And honestly, I'll be keeping a close eye on it because whatever happens next is probably going to be just as wild. Stay tuned.